Hey, welcome to the Frank and Yeti college football talk and to week 2 of college football. I am joined here today with my co-host, the Yeti, the inspirational leader of the offense. And we have a guest today, Mr. Frank, the mailman, because he always delivers. Now, week 1, it was an exciting week.
A lot of football, a lot of action. It was good to be back. You had just everybody coming out, and everybody bringing their best, but nobody super big, except for my Ducks. Thought we had it. And then I had to see Auburn fans walking through stores today and just hang my head. I had it on my Ducks.
All right, week 1 scores. Virginia Tech lost to Boston College 28-35. Boise State led a miraculous comeback against Florida State and won 36-31. Ole Miss fell to Memphis 10-15. Northwestern lost to Stanford on a couple of crazy defensive plays at the end of the game, 7-17. And Auburn took the last lead of the first lead of the game with 9 seconds on the clock, winning that game 21-27. So it's a great week. Those are scores. Hey, I went 5 for 5.
If you factor in the point spread, I did pretty good. But if you're putting money on straight up, you'll see, bet against me.
So here we are. Week 2, a new slate. BYU at Tennessee. Tennessee is favored to win this game by 1 point in Knoxville. Mr. Yeti?
We're 9 hours away from Knoxville, but I can still smell the smolder. What a train wreck. What a train wreck. I'm going to go for the boys in blue, definitely with the win. We got people in Knoxville praying for the second coming. I mean, this was going to be the year. Every year is a rebuild year for them. One day, Mailman Stadium will rise again, but I'm just afraid it ain't going to be this year.
You know what? That's a good pick because, hey, Tennessee, I found out, rushed less than 100 yards in that game.
At home.
At home. Didn't even break 100 yards. Georgia State, 215 yards on the ground. That means that they were physically manhandled in the game. I mean, they controlled the clock, they controlled the ground game. I don't think playing BYU is going to be any different. They're a very physical team. They did drop the first game of the year to Utah, but that's Utah. And
it's an in-state game. It's a tough game.
It's not Georgia State.
Exactly.
Okay. So
Georgia State, while you do your pick, I heard today Georgia State got paid $950,000 to come in to Knoxville, Tennessee, and slap Tennessee in their mouth.
Slap them in their mouth. There we go. BYU.
Like paying somebody $1 million to come to your house and slap you in front of your mama.
All right. First pick for the guest picker. What we got?
Okay, now it was a bad week for both teams. Both teams took home losses. The Holy War should have been a little more competitive, and because of that, I'm gonna roll with the
look out!
standing team.
Stand alone.
Yeti, if there's an increment less than a point, I don't know if they're going to cover the spread. But I'll take Tennessee in that game.
That's a bold pick. I like it. Yeti, what about my betting?
Your over and under is 53. It's BYU, it's Tennessee. You can see that both teams are going to score. I'm definitely going to go with the over at 53. I see both teams going 30-plus points. Defense just isn't there. Offense is just going to shine because you don't have anybody stopping you.
Okay, I like it. The number 2 game on the slate is Southern Miss at Mississippi State. A little in-town renewed rival there.
It's been a long time for both. I grew up going Veterans Memorial Stadium downtown, but actually before it was Veteran Memorial. Grew up watching this game, so I'm glad to see it back. Southern Miss, past few years had the big head, said anybody, anywhere, anytime. So they are now on the schedule with some of the SEC boys. So it's good to see that in-state rivalry coming back. It's going to be, I watched both teams play yesterday, as the game went on. They're again opening games, Alcorn State, USM. Southern Miss looked good. They're going to run the ball. They're going to throw the ball. Mississippi State had a good opening game, played down in New Orleans. So they had a good crowd there, indoor. They did show out. Everybody on that team, Mississippi State, wants to be a superstar because you've had some big names come up. I'm still going Mississippi State. SEC is going to shine on that one. Southern Miss will keep in it. I think it'll be a lot of points scored.
Okay, I like that pick. I too will go with Mississippi State. I mean, when you look at the whole body of work, Mississippi State, how they like to play the game, they want to impose their will. They're typically one of the bigger, man-for-man wise in the SEC, bigger teams, and they like to play physical. Defensively, offensively, in the trenches, they want to beat you up, manhandle you. USM, I feel like, is probably a little undersized for this game. Mississippi State's going to keep it physical, and it's going to be a rough affair. The whole 4 quarters of ball, I'm rolling with State.
Good call. Joe Moorhead breaking out in the second year. The first year, you got to wear the I'm the new guy badge. This year, you got to do something. You got to put up or shut up.
That's right. The mailman.
I agree. I'm gonna go with the Maroons in this game. When you look at the recruiting, this SEC opponent is heads up on the quality of players. Southern Miss will try to make a game of it. It's a marquee game for Mississippi State because what they would ultimately like to do is be the top recruiter in their home state. There's a lot of talent south of Hattiesburg. I think to have access to that talent, they have to beat USM decisively. I got Mississippi State.
I like it.
Good call.
Yeti, the bet.
We're over and under at 55. I think it's going to be way higher than that. Mississippi State's going to come out throwing the ball. I think they're going to hang 40 plus. I still see Southern Miss putting 20 on Mississippi State. Still developing a newer defense. Some of your better guys last year moved on up. That's the reason you play this game at this level, is to go up. You had some big names that all rolled out, so you've got new guys, you're forming. Mississippi State let a few points get scored in their game on Saturday. So I'm going to go with the over. 55 is easy. I wouldn't be surprised if Mississippi State got close to that number by themselves.
All right, the next game on the slate is West Virginia at Missouri. We got Missouri favored by 12 points at home at Columbia. Yeti, what's your pick?
I'm going, both teams. I mean, West Virginia won their first game, but it was James Madison. Missouri lost. It was the Wyoming Cowboys. Playing in Columbia, Missouri, great town, pretty little town in just the middle of nowhere. I'm going to go with Missouri. I think they're at home. I think they've got the wake-up call. West Virginia is going to bring some action, but I really feel like the Tigers are going to wake up this week, bring some revenge, and get the win.
West Virginia looked bad in a winning effort against James Madison. Missouri didn't look great in a losing effort against Wyoming in Laramie. However, one stat to be recognized here is Kelly Bryant, who everybody's been wanting to see.
Right.
The Clemson transfer to Missouri. He performed well in that game. 423 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and 1 INT. Look to expound on that in this game. Missouri needs to play a lot better on defense, but they'll get this win against West Virginia at home. The mailman, what's your pick?
I'm going with the Mizzou Tigers in this game as well. Missouri run into a buzzsaw this past weekend up there at Laramie. The stadium in which the Cowboys play in, War Memorial, is the highest elevation of any collegiate stadium in this country. So with saying that, the Cowboys had an added addition on the field to them, where Missouri, even though the Ozarks are in that state, Columbia is not in the Ozarks. But I think with the cards stacked in the Tigers' favor, there'll be a better outcome this weekend. I'm going with the Tigers.
I love that stat. That's an interesting stat. The elements of being at home.
To go to that town is great. It's just like you're in the middle of nowhere. You're headed to Kansas City from our side, and just all of a sudden, boom, you got a little town. You ride into the campus, great town. But yes, there, the elevation. It's like a 12th man on the field. When you can't breathe, you can't run.
That's
Over
it.
and under this one, 65. Man, that's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points.
65. I'm going under on this one. I really feel like Missouri's coming to life. I really feel like West Virginia's got something to prove. Come in, pull it together. But 65 is a big number. I'm going under.
Okay. Look, we got a big game here. And we got two ranked opponents here in LSU and Texas. LSU is favored away from home by 4 points. Yeti, what's your take?
LSU was on fire. I'm talking about on fire. You got to realize who they were playing. I mean, it was Georgia Southern, but this LSU team, I mean, we got a good rank. But, man, that quarterback, he couldn't miss. I mean, you know, and I realized that this first game was a wake-up call, and they're trying to put it together, but these guys brought it. I'm going Tigers all the way. Texas looked good on the field in their first game against La Tech, but come on, it's La Tech. Definitely not the caliber team that they're going to get out of Central Louisiana. LSU Tigers with the win on this one, only climbing up. I mean, you're already a top 10 team. It's only going to go up from there, which is going to be tough because the ones ahead of them, I don't feel like are moving.
Hey. And you know what? It's true that LSU is very talented. They're tough. They play great ball. But you know what? Every team has a weakness. There's not a team in college football that does not have some kind of weakness. And Texas, with Tom Herman on the sideline, I feel like can exploit whatever weakness LSU has. He can find it. I like Texas in this game. Even though LSU probably have a few more blue chippers than Texas, Texas still has good 4- and 5-star talent on their team, enough to stand toe-to-toe with LSU, especially if Tom Herman can find an Achilles heel on LSU's team. I like Texas at home. They're going to keep it real.
It's going to be a tough game. I mean, it's going to be well worth watching. I mean, turn everything else off.
The Mailman, what's your pick?
I think this is a marquee matchup. What I like about this matchup, both teams are still trying to find an identity. I think this game will be won or lost on the sideline. If I were going with talent, I would definitely go with LSU. But in this particular contest, I'm going to go with coaching. I like Tom Herman and his staff over Eddie O and his staff. I'm rolling with the Horns.
Come on.
Hook 'em home.
I stand alone. I stand alone. Well, you know, your Texas coach, Tom Herman, like I say, you can't wear that first year badge but once.
That's it.
You know, I hope he pulls it together. LSU's going to be tough. Coach O, he's got a few years in him. He's realized that the LSU base is on him and he's got to produce. And I just realize and feel like this year they're going to produce. They're going to be looking at that 4-seat bracket. Over and under on this game, 51.5. I see it happening. I'm definitely going over on this one. Tigers going to put up some points. Horns are going to put up some points. It's going to be a big game. It's going to be a high-scoring game. I see 60 plus. I would definitely easily go over on that one.
I'm so excited about that game.
It's going to be worth watching. Whether you wear an ugly orange or purple and gold, get on one side or the other. Don't ride the fence.
That's right.
That's it.
So, for the big game, our big game, I think game day's big game is probably going to be LSU at Texas. Our big game is Texas A&M at Clemson, the defending national champs. Yeti, talk to me.
You know, you got an SEC school, A&M, got a few years in the SEC now. They've definitely got, I think they've got enough years in it to wear the belt of the SEC. They have got a large task ahead of them. Clemson. You got the nature boy at quarterback for the Clemson Tigers. They're coming out. They're playing at home. I think the deck is stacked too far against Texas A&M. If they're going to win this one, they need to start eating their Wheaties last week. You know, they're going to play hard. It's going to be a good game. Clemson all the way. Is there even a doubt?
You know what? Teams like Michigan and Alabama, they're winning programs, and they win all the time. Clemson is a new kid on the block, and they win, but they win differently than Alabama and Michigan do. They make it look sexy.
I'll go with
They're a
that.
sexy football team.
That's like a win with the tie.
They're a sexy football team. I mean, they're high-powered offense. They put the ball in the air. They got a Heisman hopeful at running back and at quarterback.
Got a good team.
And they're just fun to watch. They got Dabo. Have you ever seen Dabo fuss at a player?
Not a bit. The guy doesn't lose his cool.
He just hugging his players, celebrating with his players, dancing in the locker room. They're fun to be around. They're fun to watch. They're sexy. I like Clemson big in this game
Easily.
with the sex appeal factor. I like
19 and a half points is a large point, but come on, you're talking about the national championship.
I like that.
You're talking about being at home. We could sit here and talk about that one game all night. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that our conversation is going to be one-sided.
Yes.
You know, Jimbo, there again, shaking off that first year, got something to prove, but if he's going to prove it, it'll be this week.
The Mailman, how cool is Clemson?
They got my vote also. I guess they are the unanimous #1 team. They're A&M going into Death Valley. The cards are stacked against them. You've got a coach at A&M that's very familiar with the coach and the team at Clemson. I just don't think that'll be enough to bridge the gap. I'm rolling with the Clemson Tigers.
Right. I like that pick.
Over and under 59.5. That's really a tight number. You know, it's a big number, but it's a tight number. You've got to think Clemson's at home and going to put up some points, but A&M's got a really strong defense. Mm-hmm. So I see points going up from both sides. I don't see a lot from A&M. A 28-14 game, I really kind of feel. So I don't feel like 59 is going to happen. 59.5. So they really split that one to ride the fence. I don't see it. I don't see it getting that high. I could be wrong because I'm real good at being wrong, but I'm going to take a chance and go under on that one.
Okay.
It will be a good game. Like I say, you've got a power offense versus a power defense, and we'll see. But I've got my money on Clemson. Good deal.
Thank you so much, Mr. Frank, the Mailman, for his good picks and his great company. Mr. Yeti, again, my excellent co-host. Mr. Yeti, close us out with a few remarks.
You know, I really felt like our heads were going to explode. I spent my day, a good part of the day in Twin Peaks, so there were TVs everywhere. So I could watch them big, I could watch them small, I could watch them all. Kind of a sensory overload. We kind of went to bed last night kind of twitching. I was like, I got a good fix. We got a little sample with the Florida Miami game. It's an ugly game, but your Gators got the win.
They did.
We really dug into it yesterday just because everybody played. You didn't have anybody that stood out. The Oregon-Auburn game was the game of the week, and they proved that.
They did.
I mean, Auburn, I text you halftime. The Gus bus is running on flats. And Oregon brought it out. But that's the reason that we all tune into a game and we don't watch till halftime and turn it off. It's 4 quarters. It's start to finish every quarter because 9 seconds in the final quarter was the determining factor on that game.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Today was a day where people that are really Auburn fans could really strut their stuff. Because in our parts, we don't see a lot of Auburn. But today, you didn't have to look hard. We got a really good lineup. It is SEC. We are not conference driven, but the world versus the SEC this week.
Versus the SEC this week, we're going to see is the world enough.
There you go. I'll be at the Mississippi State and Southern Miss games. If you want to see some live pictures, I'll be putting them on. Please follow both of us on Instagram. Our addresses and @ will be on there and listed. So if you have questions, comments, things you want us to touch on, just drop us a line, whether it be on this YouTube video you're watching or on our personal pages.
That's right.
Mr. Frank, thank you for joining us.
It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed it.
I got beat up by both of y'all in a couple of games. I hope my board looks better this week. It can't get much worse.
So long.